This warmed my soul. I'm not even going to lie. This was something that I've been waiting for a minute. Blacc Sam, also known as Nipsey Hussle's older brother, finally did a sit-down interview, and he normally never gets on camera and talks. Never does interviews. He'll probably appear in documentaries here and there and, you know, talk about the history of Marathon Clothing and Nipsey Hussle and stuff. But mainly when Nipsey Hussle was alive, he would obviously do all the interviews and stuff like that because he was the artist. Well, Big Boy, who's been a huge, long-time supporter of Nipsey Hussle and has had a relationship with Nipsey Hussle and his brother for a long time, got Blacc Sam to sit down and do an interview. And the interview was roughly an hour and 30 minutes long. And I watched the full thing, and I was excited. The second I saw it, I was like, I can't wait to see this. And for the first hour, it basically talks about the history, how, you know, Blacc Sam and Nipsey Hussle built what they built. And it even goes into the story of how Blacc Sam hid $250,000 of money in their backyard. And when he dug it up, a lot of the money was molded because water got in there. And they basically lost about $50,000 out of that $250,000. And, you know, that was a cool story. And he talks about how they built the whole company and all that stuff. But then after an hour, it starts to talk about, you know, Nipsey Hussle's day when he got killed, which was March 31st, 2019. And there's an interesting part of Big Boy asks his brother, Blacc Sam, the night before, did you hang out with your brother, Nipsey? And he talks about how that night they were celebrating a friend's birthday, or a cousin's birthday, I think. And they were talking that night about how Nipsey Hussle shouldn't just pull up to the Marathon Clothing store by himself unannounced, that he should let people know because that allows for people to get proper security around him. But Nipsey kind of brushed it off, was like, man, I ain't doing that shit. Like, I'm just, you know, I know that area. Nobody's going to do anything to me. So in hindsight, obviously, that was not the best thing to kind of say in that moment. And, you know, his brother tried to push him to get more security when he's moving out and about. So they had this great moment where, you know, Eve Rivera, who directed the Higher video with DJ Khaled and Nipsey and John Legend, apparently ran into them at the restaurant that they were celebrating the birthday and showed him the first draft of the Higher video. So he got to see that before he passed away. And then the following day, he talks about the day that his brother got shot and killed. He says that he was supposed to run a store, a weed store for somebody over a night shift, and then went home to kind of just get some sleep because he was working all night, went to sleep, and then he just got woken up by a bunch of text messages, astronomical amount of text messages about, hey, man, your brother, something's going on in the Marathon store. So he just immediately got out the house, went there, saw his brother still breathing after being shot so many times, and then he fought, you know, he basically went to the hospital with his brother, and then ultimately his brother got it pronounced officially dead. What was interesting, though, is he talks about Eric Holder, the shooter, and he kind of insinuates that it had something to do with gangs, because Eric Holder was wearing a red shirt, and when you go in that area, obviously it's Rolling 60s Crips. It's a gang area that you know, you can't show up with red over there because they're going to violate you. So Blacc Sam was saying that he showed up in a red T-shirt and, you know, saw if there was any pushback on that, saw that he kind of scoped the area out. He didn't show up in a red T-shirt initially. He showed up and then kind of took it off and then scoped the area out to see if there's any, like, people with guns and security, and ultimately came back, shot Nipsey, blah, 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 and then ran away. And we talked about this before, that had there been people with guns and security to shoot back at Eric Holder, Nipsey would have probably still been alive, but Nipsey would have probably been in a wheelchair because the first bullet that hit him, he instantly dropped. So it hit his spinal cord somewhere. So he probably would have been in a wheelchair. I don't know if he would have been recovering from that, because when a bullet hits your spine cord, depending on where it hits, it's over. You pretty much can't walk ever again. But he details that, and he kind of insinuates that there's something behind the scenes going on because, and here's another reason, the night before, when he was talking about hanging out with Nipsey before he died, they were talking about politics of how there were gang members threatening DJ Khaled for showing up to certain hood sets to shoot the video for hire. And, you know, they were talking about that politics and saying that nobody's going to fuck with DJ Khaled when he's out here with us. Nobody's going to do anything. So there have been rumors that, I'm not going to throw out names, but there have been some gang leaders out there that hated Nipsey Hussle because of his power and his muscle that he was starting to have as the years went on. Because as the years went on, he got more powerful, more money, got more notoriety, got bigger, and he would basically say, hey, like when DJ Khaled came in, y'all ain't going to do shit about it. I can bring DJ Khaled here, I can shoot a video, and y'all ain't going to do nothing about it. And that, from what the way, I'm not trying to throw words in Blacc Sam's mouth, but the way he kind of talked in the interview, it seemed like there was something going on in politics behind the scenes with gangs that they didn't like the way Nipsey Hussle was kind of moving around. That he was moving around a little bit like, hey, you know what? I can do whatever I can do. This is my set, my neighborhood. So that's why Blacc Sam was, in the interview, he kind of mentions a little bit about Eric Holder mainly being hired by somebody from a different gang to kill Nipsey. That somebody from a different gang did that they wanted Nipsey out the way. Another interesting thing is Blacc Sam talked about how after Nipsey died, he was trying to figure out the pieces to the puzzle and was wondering why the fuck wasn't the staff there ready and on point like he normally has them. He says whenever Nipsey comes there, they build like a kind of circle to protect him. And he's like, why didn't that happen that day that he was there? Like every time he's told them that if Nipsey shows up there, you guys got to have a certain protection. So I'm going to play that little portion of it because I'm sure the video is copyrighted, so I wish I could play all of it and let you guys listen to it. But if you haven't seen the interview, go ahead and watch it. Big Boy did an interview with him. And let me play a clip of that moment because I want you guys to hear specifically that part of, you know, they should have had something to protect him. So let's play it. Let's see what he had to say.
Somebody come to the shop. They know we in the doorway. When Hussle pull up, we in the doorway. You're gonna see me with a hoodie on, and I got a pistol on me. You're gonna see one of the team members in the hoodie in the doorway with a pistol. That's protocol when Hussle pull up. So it's Sunday. It's busy in there. Why the niggas in there didn't follow the protocol? I wasn't there. Why they didn't follow it? Maybe they was fucking around helping the customer, doing some fucking customer service. This is what I'm thinking, trying to, you know, transition into some legitimate just selling clothes. But nobody was in the doorway. And from my understanding, old boy walked up with no shirt on first to check the scene because he know what's going on in that parking lot. And had a conversation. Probably seen nobody was in the doorways. Checked Hussle had on shorts. Checked everybody else. Left. They say came back with a red shirt on. Tiptoed through the alley and went right and started shooting. So to me, that's premeditated. Number one, there's no red shirts in the hood. You can't buy no red shirt. No liquor store sell no red shirt. Number two, when a nigga come through the alley with a red shirt, that's the throw off, or the Bloods did it, or the Inglewood families did it, or the BPS. That's the throw off, red shirt. So for me, he felt he was supposed to do a job, or somebody sent him or whatever, and he was nervous. He was supposed to hit that alley with that red shirt immediately. But he didn't do that. He came in and he wanted to check the scene. He wanted to make sure he wasn't getting into a shootout. And that's my thoughts on it. You understand? So, and can't nobody tell me nothing about that because it just don't make no sense. It's not random. You know, I know Hussle. You know, ain't nobody gonna say nothing crazy to Hussle because they know what come with it. No matter what age you are, niggas ain't saying nothing crazy to Hussle. Wherever you find him at, but on Crenshaw and Slauson, definitely you're not saying nothing crazy. You're gonna come, you're gonna tuck your tail and be humble, and if not, you're getting beat up on the spot. And we done did it a million times. Hussle done did it a million times. So the fact that he left tell me everything I need to know. It was no argument, you know. It was no sense of threat. Because with that come, like, hey, be on deck. Yeah, it was none of that. It was just, you know, to me it was let me come through, let me see what's going on, and then let me, you know, and it's broad daylight, man, and it's, you know, it's a lot of unanswered questions, man.
So see, he's saying that usually when there's a protocol, when Nipsey Hussle comes there, there's people supposed to be surrounding him, making sure everything's good. But this day, they just weren't on point. And Eric Holder took advantage of that. I do think he is, throughout the interview, insinuating that it was a paid hit. It wasn't just something random. That's what I feel. And he even says in the interview, like if you guys watch the full thing, he says, you know, everything's going to come to light as time goes on. So I do think there is something behind the scenes that we don't know about. We have to remember, and this is maybe because my Nipsey Hussle documentary is the most watched documentary that has been made on Nipsey Hussle, period. There's nobody that's had more views than me and told his life story than me. And it's my most viewed documentary. It's at 4.4 million, 4.3 million views. But throughout that documentary, I just talked about like how he started, talked about his career, and mainly focused just on his like life story. But I might do like a mini documentary about like his street ties and his history in the streets, because he's deeply rooted in the streets. And there's been a lot of stories of him, just like how his brother talks about, squabbling with people, fighting with people, taking his chains off, you know, anybody that disrespects him, handling them, so on and so forth. So I think a little documentary on that side of things, as well as his philanthropy, because that also has a dope, you know, side to it that I might do like maybe a 1-2 part series like that. But because I just love Nipsey Hussle, man. I love this interview. The only thing I wish that Big Boy would have done is asked, are we getting any new music? That would have been a question that I would have loved for him to answer, because Nipsey has a lot of unreleased music. Kid Ink, I always refer to Kid Ink here. He said that Nipsey would record a lot, just not release it. So, yeah, I hope we get new music. That's the only thing I wish that was asked in this interview, because it's been 5 years. And I hope, you know, we get something down the line, a posthumous album, at least one would be great. But yeah, don't milk it. Like if Nipsey doesn't have a lot of music that's like usable, do not ruin his legacy with like how Pop Smoke, the second album, was just ass cheeks, and you got XXXTentacion with 90 million posthumous albums, and it's just Tupac ruined kind of his legacy a little bit with so many of those posthumous albums. I think one posthumous album, maybe if that material for two, great. But one we have to get. Like we can't just have one debut album. That's it. There needs to be at least one posthumous album after that. I mean, he started the momentum with Racks in the Middle, so have that as one of the songs on there, and the rest kind of figure out with pieces put together. But overall, great interview. Go ahead and check it out if you haven't seen it.